Hi, Brian.
Hi, Glennis.
Guess what I just did?
Tell me.
Well, one, I got the new iPhone this weekend. I also haven't had a new phone in 5 years. I got the new iPhone, and it's Climate Week here in New York, and I went to see my favorite vice president.
Drum roll.
Al Gore. You know, you see Al Gore and you think, what could have been?
Could have been us. We could have had a whole new internet.
I think we're still on Al Gore's internet, streaming live from Al Gore's internet. Anyway, that's what's up with me. What's up with you?
Well, this is Climate Week. I've also been attending events for Climate Week and watching a roller coaster unfold on television.
It's been a lot. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
So something we wanted to just hit at the top of what we're going to be talking about today, free speech. Is our free speech at risk?
Yeah, that has been the hot topic of the week, right? It's wild that in the time since we last recorded, Jimmy Kimmel was canceled, and then a huge reaction from the internet. Disney was canceled, and then Jimmy was uncanceled.
Right.
At time of recording, TBD whether Disney gets uncanceled.
Well, there was a funny part of his monologue last night that was like, and Disney would like me to say to resubscribe to Disney Plus, please log into, because they lost a lot of money.
In market value or in subscriptions? We don't know.
I don't know. But the long and short of it is that the economic boycott of canceling your Disney Plus subscription worked.
Okay, so I will say the biggest takeaway for me is I had a Disney Plus subscription. I had no idea.
Hulu. Through Hulu, right?
Honestly, I think that mine was standalone because I love Star Wars. But canceled that. To stand with Jimmy Kimmel, because yes, free speech, and I want to talk about it and the broader implications, but also I don't fucking use that, and I had no idea that I was still paying for it. I haven't used that since like WandaVision or something. So I was like, yep, I'm not restarting that. Did you cancel yours?
Yeah.
Are you gonna uncancel it?
Well, Disney Plus I don't actually use. This is another thing.
You canceled Hulu, not Disney Plus.
Yeah, people had to have conversations, and this is something that I think we'll talk about for the next year, which is like resistance is not a monolith, and we have to kind of have a menu of sustained nonviolent resistant actions for the left or anyone who is opposed to the Trump administration, because a lot of my friends have kids and they're like, I can't cancel Disney Plus. What am I going to do? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you to.
If I were in that position, I would have just canceled it and restarted it like same day. So Kimmel came back this week. He's back on the air, although some local affiliates are still preempting, are still not going to show his show.
I want to talk about this a little bit because there was a clip that went viral last cycle of Sinclair Media and how they give all of their local affiliates the exact same talking points, and it's like a chorus of conservative talking points, and it's quite scary when you see it visualized, especially when you see your local celebrity like newswoman on there. But I looked it up yesterday to see how much of these three groups, like there's three groups that own the majority of affiliates, and that's Nexstar, which also is not airing Kimmel. They hit 39% of all households, which is about 53 million. Sinclair is number 2. They are about the same, 39 to 40% of all households, another like 53 million. And then Gray Media, which I think they were like, okay, we'll take you back. That's about 47 million households. Wow. So these three companies own all of the affiliates that actually, one, have the ad revenue for these late night shows and decide who they're going to air.
Right. Yeah. There is a law that I should look more deeply into that the FCC has set before, that no one company can own more than X percent of the like channels or whatever. Yeah, it's like right at that threshold. Yeah. I honestly, coming into this, would have said it was 39%. So it's like right there, because they know that any one company controlling what everyone sees is so dangerous. Having two be a supermajority also feels incredibly dangerous to me. I'm happy that in some ways we're moving away from this, right? That in some ways TV is sort of falling off in its influence, and like things like YouTube are replacing it, which are much more decentralized in some respects. But then it just becomes the algorithm that dictates what people see.
Yes.
And like, is that even worse?
This is like what I do for my work. I would completely agree with you on YouTube and independent media, but then I would say that the right has invested in this independent media for at least a decade more than the left has. And as such, we are very behind on YouTube. If you look at the top political shows on YouTube,
9 out of the top 10
are
right leaning.
Yes.
Yeah. Conservative.
So I agree with you on YouTube. And that's why I think donors should be funding more in that space and in the infrastructure.
Direct to camera.
Yeah.
Looking for checks.
Yeah. But then, I mean, let's talk about the Twitter, TikTok meta of it all, because we also had news this week. To take a step back, the whole reason why Kimmel was taken off the air was because Brendan Carr, who is the head of the FCC, who is also one of the chief architects of Project 2025, this was in the playbook, said, we're going to take you off air. He has that power. He called his friends at Sinclair and these other places, and they did it. Which is shocking. It is scary.
And so, just to be clear, the FCC's power would have been to revoke the license of ABC or find Disney, or like there would have been massive financial repercussions because they're regulated by an entity that he controls.
Right.
Yeah.
And then because of, I actually don't really know. So we don't know, right, what happened exactly behind closed doors and how we got back on air.
I think that we can surmise that they became more afraid of
the power of the people,
the backlash, than they were of the FCC. Disney, like the corporates, are saying that this was always kind of the plan. Like, oh no, we just wanted a break. We just wanted to have discussions about the content. We just wanted to whatever. I mean, you look at Colbert, and I think, I'm not so sure. Maybe if we had done this for Colbert, he would not be canceled.
Yeah. I mean, you can have an urgent all hands meeting at, 3 a.m. if you need to, if you just want to have a conversation about it. But to the algorithm of it all, we got news this week, shortly after Jimmy Kimmel was canceled, that a small group of technocrats here in the United States of America would be buying TikTok.
Yeah, that's a generous word, I would say.
Technocrats?
Yeah.
They're
like billionaire supervillains.
Literally Google Larry Ellison, and he is straight out of WandaVision or whatever as a supervillain.
Yeah, that's why they have such a strong affinity for Disney. I think that it is incredibly concerning that so many of these companies and platforms are falling into conservative hands, and anyone that doesn't is facing the wrath of Trump, right? So there's a multi-front war going on against essentially our freedom of speech. One is directly attacking the people who speak out in opposition to the government, which is like textbook for authoritarians or people trying to consolidate power and warn people off of opposing them in any way. And we see that through what's happening with Kimmel. We see that with the New York Times lawsuit. We see that with how Trump attacks reporters directly to their face whenever they ask him a question that he doesn't like.
Totally.
It's an extremely concerning sort of crackdown, and it extends to how I see it. It's connected to this war on information more generally, where they're cutting back on the reporting that the government does about economics, about health and outbreaks. They're cutting back on data that the FDA and CDC are releasing. They're cutting back on, we already talked about, quarterly reports from private companies, which increases risk. They're cutting back on the labor statistics and firing the people who don't post the exact labor numbers that they want to see.
Yeah.
It is overall warfare on our ability to access and synthesize information in a way that is independent of how the government wants you to think.
It's scary.
It is scary. It's very dystopian in a way that feels new, in my opinion, to the current conservative movement. I hate even calling them that, but like MAGA does not embody the same sort of basic commitment to transparency or facts that I think a lot of leaders of the conservative movement would have been proponents of 15 years ago.
1,000%. Critical thinking skills are lacking.
It's a perfect storm that has led us into this anti-fact, anti-speech, anti-American moment.
That part. That should chap everyone's ass. This is so deeply anti-American.
Yeah. Should we talk about the government shutdown?
Are you British?
Was that British?
Yes.
I'm channeling it early, guys. Okay. I'm headed to the UK very shortly, and I gotta get my...
Or I thought maybe you're like keeping me on my toes to like accent. The accent challenge.
Intentional.
Let's talk about it, because even this morning, NPR, they said on like First Up or one of their things, we've been avoiding it, but now's the time. We have to talk about the shutdown. It is looming. It is real. The stakes are very high. People are canceling meetings. It's hot. Let's get into it.
We're a week away. The current situation. The government runs out of money at the end of the month. And so unless a bill is passed to fund the government, there will be a federal shutdown midnight of October 1st.
Yes.
Republicans have refused to negotiate with Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries on what a bill would look like to keep it open. They want to pass a stopgap measure called a continuing resolution that would just fund the government at the same levels for a few more weeks while they keep negotiating.
Right.
Democrats say they have no incentive to vote for that because the things that the government is doing are fucked up. And whenever they pass funding that Republicans don't like, Trump is doing what he is called like a rescission or a pocket rescission, where he's just refusing to spend the money, which is unconstitutional, is illegal, is against a law that was passed during the Nixon days. And
Nixon?
And they're just saying, we don't care. We think that that's a bad law and we're not going to follow it. And so Democrats are like, why are we going to negotiate on a budget if you're just going to not spend the stuff that we put in and you're going to spend all the stuff on like ICE and the stuff that you put in? That's not how a bipartisan deal works. And so we are hurtling towards a shutdown. I see no off-ramp pre-September 30. I genuinely don't see any way. And to make matters worse, Republicans went on recess. So they're not even in D.C. to vote on a potential bill. If they somehow came up with a bill, or Democrats decided, okay, we'll vote for it.
Yeah.
They can't because they're not there.
And Dems, the hill they're dying on is the subsidies for health insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's what this all becomes about. Get ready to talk about Obamacare subsidies because
sign me up.
The government's going to shut down and they're going to furlough a bunch of people, and Trump is going to make it painful. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
And what the conversation pivots to is there's about to be a huge spike in healthcare premiums for a large chunk of the country, which also impacts everyone's health. There's sort of downstream effects of that. But Democrats are going to try to focus all of the attention about the shutdown onto healthcare as an issue, which Republicans in this administration, in just a handful of months, have passed policies that will kick more people off of healthcare than any other time in U.S. history. It'll be the single biggest drop in the number of people that are insured. Yeah. And so that's what Democrats want to talk about. And this is a way to make people talk about it.
Yeah. I think for people who aren't on Obamacare, it's really a difficult process. I mean, they've made it easier, but you get on Obamacare, and if you miss one month or 2 months, depending on which state you're in, of payments of your premium, you're off.
Yeah, you
have no health insurance until open season again.
Right.
So it's really, people will lose access to health insurance, and as we've talked about, that means more people in the ER. That means, which by the by, more hospitals are closing because of all the budget cuts with Doge. It's really could be an unmitigated healthcare disaster in this country.
Yeah, the whole thing really points to the constant dynamic in Congress, which is Republicans are here to smash stuff and destroy and take away. And it always ends up being up to Democrats to step in and save the programs that people rely on. Oftentimes those programs are not as effective as they should be, or not as affordable as they should be, or don't cover the exact people that they should. And Democrats get blamed for that. But ultimately, if you remove their incentive to like advance those programs, Republicans would just destroy everything. We wouldn't have Social Security. We wouldn't have anything. Medicare and Medicaid. We would have literally nothing. Yeah. And so it's a trap almost that I think Democrats are basically calling their bluff on, because letters are going to start going out in October telling people, hey, by the way, your premiums are going up $700 a month. Like it's going to be astronomical. It's going to be crazy.
Well, let's see how much mine go up.
Yeah, totally.
How does this end in a way that benefits Dems?
Yeah, I think that we need to set the bar early for anyone who thinks, oh, Democrats are going to get them to undo the big ugly bill. Right.
That's not going to happen.
That's not happening. And that should not be the goalpost. We can say that, we can demand that, but we should all know that that's not going to be the thing that comes out of the shutdown. History shows that eventually Dems would probably vote for a
compromised.
Some sort of legislation that probably resembles what they're being offered right now.
Yeah.
It's a win if people are talking more in 3 weeks about Republicans cutting healthcare than they are right now. Like that is a win for Democrats. That should be the bar.
Great. We can do that with all of our platforms.
Yeah.
If we do shut down, it will be our first shutdown since 2019.
Which also was caused by Trump. Jeffries and Schumer tried to sit down with Trump to negotiate.
Oh, right.
And Trump canceled the meeting and said, these people want to make everyone have transgender operations. And
no, he didn't.
Yes, he did. I read the Truth Social post. Amongst other things, it's like a really long thing, but he's like, yeah, these radical lunatics want to trans everybody. And so I'm not going to meet with them. And I'm like, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about a shutdown.
He doesn't care.
I do think that the timing is potentially really bad for Republicans immediately before a gubernatorial election in Virginia, gubernatorial election in New Jersey, legislative elections in Virginia and New Jersey, Pennsylvania Supreme Court races, Georgia Public Service Commission races, special election for Congress in Tennessee. Like, there are important elections happening in the next 5 weeks, and Republicans having tons of headlines about how they can't govern and want to cut healthcare for everyone and refuse to work with Democrats to expand or not even expand, but just like maintain,
protect healthcare
is going to be really bad for them heading into November 2025 elections.
Let's make it worse.
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
Post all of it.
It's giving. Okay, into our next segment, clickbait or double click.
Click.
I'm going to read a series of headlines from the week, and Glennis is going to tell us whether they are clickbait or we need to double click and follow more closely. Tom Homan, Trump's border czar,
sticky fingers,
took $50,000 in cash bribes, and the DOJ just closed the investigation.
Double click, because we cannot normalize what is essentially worse than Watergate.
Wow. Say that. The Government Services Administration, the GSA, just resumed work for hundreds of employees that have been on a 7-month-long vacation because they were doged but not fired.
Were they paid?
Paid.
Double click, because it is the exact opposite of government efficiency.
Scott Bessent, worst gay in government, is pushing for a bailout of the Argentinian economy right before Trump's conservative ally is facing elections next month.
Clickbait. We should not be bailing him out. We got to bail ourselves out, okay?
Kamala Harris's book launch results in lots of drama and her saying that Pete Buttigieg wasn't selected for the ticket because he's gay.
She said that?
Yeah.
clickbait?
I think so too. 18 Democrats running for U.S. Senate refused to say that they would support Chuck Schumer for leader next cycle.
I think it's clickbait because they haven't won, but I do think it is very telling and good that there is a sense of challenging to leadership, Democratic leadership that is quite old and should maybe retire.
Yeah. A lot of clickbait this week. What should we double click on?
I want to talk about the bribe. I mean, maybe it isn't worse than Watergate, but how are we to know when we have another Watergate? Because every thing that has happened, which is many, many things that are corrupt or, bribe adjacent or whatever, we're just like, okay. And the fact that Republicans are like, I don't care that he took $50,000, that he's literally on tape with sticky ass fingers taking $50,000.
Yeah.
As a bribe.
As a bribe. Yeah. To be clear, the borders are now, and he was telling contractors essentially that he could help them get contracts with the new Trump administration. And as we know, those contracts are worth at now like tens and tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah. To paint the
so $50K is kind of cheap. I'm like, you're kind of a cheap ass.
If you were corrupt, you'd say, give me more.
But it's still absolutely insane to drop the case, and really reinforces the point that the farce of Republicans saying they're after waste, fraud, and abuse while they literally let all these criminals and white-collar crimes go completely uninvestigated and unreported is insane.
Or tried. I think it's really telling. I mean, are we surprised under Kash Patel's leadership that got buried or dismissed? No. But I also think if we look back into Trump's first administration, at this point, 8-9 months in, how many people had cycled through in leadership positions? Right. This time, not as many, because they are loyalists. They are not loyal to America. They are loyal to Donald Trump.
Yep.
And as such, they're rewarded for it. God knows what bribes they're getting.
In the first administration, he would have fired Pam Bondi. By now, he would have fired Kash Patel. He would have fired Hegseth over Signalgate. Honestly, half of the cabinet right now would be fired by one of the scandals. Right. And they've just made a decision coming in this time that no matter what they do, we're going to stand by our people, because we know that no matter what Trump does, none of them will even speak one word out of line, because that's what they selected for when they filled their cabinet. None of these people are qualified to do anything that they're doing.
I also want to point out a post you made yesterday. We could stay awake all night wondering why. We know why. They're all personally enriching themselves, the Trump family, the most.
Mapping their net worth as a family over time is a sickening experience. You will literally feel sick to your stomach looking at how much Trump has made off of the presidency.
Billions.
More than all previous presidents combined in their lifetime.
I want to tell you who I think needs to get a grip this week. And it's kind of like they need to get a grip in perpetuity. And they probably need to get a grip for the last 30 decades of their life. And that is RFK Jr. Anyone who has a phone saw last week Trump said we're going to have a big announcement about autism. And he even said in this announcement, we're not sure if it's correct, but we're going to do it anyway. He said that. Cut to a couple days ago. It was supposed to be RFK Jr.'s announcement, but then Trump, I don't know why, autism is his new thing. He's obsessed. And they said the blame is to be placed on mothers, and that if you take Tylenol during pregnancy, which is one of the only pain medications pregnant women can take, you are causing the autism. And it is just absolutely unhinged. RFK Jr. is public enemy number one to public health. And the fact that he is in control of this country's public health, to your earlier point of we don't get as much information as to like what communicable diseases are happening or if there's an outbreak here, there, or whatever. The vaccine misinformation is absolutely insane. They put out new guidelines for child vaccines, which are not great. In fact, like other institutions had to say like, no, listen to us. Like these are the actual vaccine schedules you should put your children on. It's really, really sick and twisted. I don't know how else to put it. To me, he needs to get a grip.
I think that was awesome.
I'm surprised I'm giving you this good vibe. I thought maybe you would put it in the notes, but I beat ya. Some of you may have seen this race. Influencer and, Democratic content creator Deja Fox also ran in this primary. But now we have another seat in the House. And what we can do, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it might be, is force a vote on the Epstein files. So we can get all those Republicans on the record saying, no, don't release the files.
That's exactly right. We have a discharge petition in the House. It needed 218 signatures. There were 4 vacancies, which made it harder. We just replaced a Democrat who died in office with Adelita, and that means that she will be the last signature required to force a vote. So now Mike Johnson either has to negotiate to put some kind of vote on the floor and they'll release the discharge petition, or they're going to force the vote and every member of the House will be forced to vote on whether or not they should release the Epstein files.
Force the vote. Also, she's the first Latina representative from Arizona.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I did not know that. We also outperformed Kamala Harris in that district by double digits, which continues a streak that we've had in almost every special election all year where Democrats are overperforming by 10 points or more.
Let's put a pin in that because I want to learn more.
Spicy. Well, you'll have to stay tuned for next time and we can go deeper on the blue wave that's coming your way.
Yeah. Vibes Only is a production of Vibes Only, the podcast, LLC, produced by us, Glennis Mahar and
Brian Derrick,
with audio producer Baze Hohen and digital producer Maddie Hart. We want to hear from you. Send us voice notes, drop a comment, and if you're vibing with the pod, share it with your friends. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next week.
See ya.